On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1963. We're going to be taking a look at Trini Lopez, and he's going to be performing If I Had a Hammer. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. First of all, thank you guys for the messages yesterday and today requesting this video for tonight following the sad news that Trini Lopez passed away a couple of days ago. We are going to be taking a look at the whole performance back in 1963, and then we'll jump into some of his career, the background, and also the analysis at the end of the video. But let's get Trini up on screen and see how he gets on.
If I had a hammer in the morning, a hammer in the evening, all over this land, I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. Hey! I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, yeah. I'd ring out about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, yeah, sing out a warning, yeah. I sing about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. I've got a hammer and I've got a bell, yeah. And I've got a song to sing all over this land, yeah. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Now I've got a hammer, man, I've got that bell. Now I've got a song to sing all over this land. Yeah! It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about the love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, all over this land. Yeah, all over this land. Yeah, 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 yeah. All over this land. Ooh, all over this land.
And there we have it. This is one of those songs that has so many major chords in there. We also have an A7th chord, and the B minor that's thrown in there is only touched on, so it means that we've got a really uplifting sound, and it is so positive sounding, but also looking the way that Trini performs it here, and also the way that it is upbeat. When we're talking about the Pete Seeger original, you can take a bit of tempo out of that. Also, there was a Peter, Paul and Mary version of it, which again has some tempo taken out. And considering the subject matter of the song about having this whole political statement of having a hammer of justice and a bell of freedom, it's something that when you think about the message of the song, it's a bit of a contradiction considering the way that you feel when you're watching this, because it is uplifting and happy, but there is a serious point to this, and that's why Pete wrote it in the first place, making a statement and having that political edge. Just mentioning that Peter, Paul and Mary version, there is a video of them independently if you want to check them out on the channel here somewhere, but their version got to number 10, or at least the top 10 of the US charts, and here Trini released his version just a year after, in 1963, the year that we're looking at here, and he got all the way up to number 3, so it was a huge hit. With this slight change in groove and increase in tempo, the other thing that we've got here is the emphasis on the upstrokes, and it's the direct contradiction of the downstrokes, because pretty much the rhythm here, we're starting with down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down. If you're playing this on the guitar, that's going to be the groove, so it means that all of your upstrokes are now happening on the offbeat halfway through, and then you go back to the onbeat with the downstrokes. Just to give you guys a quick percussive example of what I'm talking about, this increased tempo has these downstrokes, down, 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 up, 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 down, 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 and so on and so forth. So it means that all of these upstrokes are happening between our numbers rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how those upstrokes happen on the offbeats, the ands. So we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's going to be our bar. But it gives it this bounce with that second bar that I was counting out, which means that you get a different groove, a different feel from one bar to the next, and that's always going to be alternating throughout this whole performance and in Trini's version. So this is why you get this uplifting sound to it as well. When we pair it together with the major chords, it's going to have the lift every second bar. And that is all due to these upstrokes. As I've said on this channel many times before, if you start putting in these upstrokes, and those are always going to happen between your numbers when you're counting out your bars, it is like you are in the air, because when you tap your foot on the numbers. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when your foot's in the air, it means that those are where the ands are happening, so you're lifting up. The other thing that we have is this focal point on the lyrical content. When Trini says bell, that's when the ride cymbal comes in, and you can see the way that the drummer is hitting the center of that, because that's where you get that sound that they're trying to replicate a bell with, but that is the classic ride that you will hear. When you start hitting the edge of that ride cymbal, it's not going to give that same sound as the middle. So it means that you can look at that in the background, the drummer just hitting the middle of that ride cymbal, and then for the rest of it, he's just lightly touching the outside, and it gives you an appreciation of the different sounds you can get on that ride. It is something interesting to throw in there to give you a different sight to see on the journey of the composition and the performance, and the drums are pretty involved here. If you've got your guitars out and you want to play along with this, it's relatively straightforward. We're just starting on the D, quick change to B minor, but then into G and A, and there is an A7 thrown in there as well. Occasionally Trini goes to that, so you can throw that in as well if you want to. Let's also put Trini's vocals under the spotlight here, because he had that silky smooth tone to his voice, and it sits in that conversational range. He's not really pushing his range here in the verses. He does have this little flip up into his head voice. It sounds like a yodel, and he has total control of that as well, because he goes to that a couple of times, just nails the note, and then flips back down into his chest voice. So great control. Obviously playing and singing here at the same time, doubling the difficulty, as I always say. But he's also got the entertainment side in there, the way that he performs with a smile and a bit of a light-hearted aspect to it. And this is why you do get that contradiction with the message of the song and the groove and the entertainment that we're watching while the performance is going on. With this relaxed vocal delivery that he had, it is so easy to underappreciate the importance of the pitches being hit, because they have to be dead on. And the way that Trini just slid from one note to the next, but was always dead on pitch, is what makes the vocals sound so smooth and so easy to listen to. It's interesting that the three versions of the song that I've mentioned, Pete Seeger's original, the Peter, Paul and Mary version, and then this version, differ so much, because with Trini here, even starting the song, he puts that tongue trill in there and the increased tempo, so you know it's going to be a totally different version. But the other thing that he does is throw in what would be effectively the backing vocals, and this is the F sharp that he's hitting at the beginning when he's going ooh. He's just throwing that in there. That would be backing singers that normally be doing that. And when he throws that in, he then jumps into the verse, which is going to be actually as near as makes no difference an octave lower. He does actually hit the octave below that F sharp, so he turns it into an F sharp 3 rather than the F sharp 4 in that backing vocal intro that we have. So it makes it a unique take on the song. And the Peter, Paul and Mary version obviously was arranged for 3 voices, so they're harmonizing with each other and they're relatively even in the mix, and it was slower as well, so it's going to sound totally different. We've also got that flip up here from Trini later on in the song that I mentioned, and by the way, that is a B4, so if you're looking at that on your guitars, it's the high E string 7th fret that you want to jump to, just 1 away from C5, so it's well up there in the male tenor range. I do want to cover Trini's history and career in this video. His father was a singer, dancer, actor and musician in Mexico, and Trini did drop out of school in his final year, but this was due to the fact that he wanted to get a job in order to earn money to support his family at that time. He started his first band when he was 15 years of age, and it was when he was 18 and 19 years of age that his band worked at the Vegas club, and this was owned by Jack Ruby, and he was the guy that assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald, avenging the JFK assassination. In 1957, Buddy Holly's father recommended Trini's band, who were called the Big Beats, to Norman Petty, who was a producer at the time, and through Norman they managed to secure a contract with Columbia Records. They recorded and released a couple of tracks, but then Trini left the band in order to go solo, and he made his first solo recording, which was called The Right to Rock, and this resulted in him signing with King Records in 1959. He did record and release multiple singles with King Records, but unfortunately none of those charted, and in 1962 his contract expired. At this point he did audition for the post-Holly Crickets, but unfortunately again that didn't materialise. He did manage to land regular performances at PJ's nightclub, and that was in West Hollywood. He started to attract attention and start to pull big crowds, and this is when Frank Sinatra saw him and heard him, and Frank at that point had just set up his new record label called Reprise Records, or Reprise Records depending on where you're from, and he signed Trini to his label. In 1963 he released his debut album, which was a live album called Trini Lopez at PJ's, and on that was his version of If I Had a Hammer, and that was a massive hit. It went to #1 in 36 countries. It sold over 1 million copies. He also had a huge hit with La Bamba, and at this point he was also asked to design 2 Gibson guitars, and those are now highly sought after models. In fact, Dave Grohl has his hands on one, so does Noel Gallagher. In 1965 he released Lemon Tree, and that was another huge hit. In the year of 1968 he had 13 chart singles. He had 15 hits on the adult contemporary chart as well. He was one of the top nightclub performers and one of the most in-demand performers. He was constantly headlining in Las Vegas, and in 1968 is when he released Welcome to Trini Country. In 1969 he had his own NBC special, and he performed on that with The Ventures as his backing band, and then moving forward professionally he started to get more into acting at that point. In 2002, he teamed up with Art Greenhaw, and that was for Legacy, My Texas Roots. And in 2003 is when he was inducted into the International Latin Music Hall of Fame. In 2008, on his 71st birthday, he was inducted into the Las Vegas Walk of Stars. In 2010, he released El Immortal, and in 2011, Into the Future was released, and that was his 65th album. He was recording and appearing live right up until his sad passing, which did happen a few days ago, August the 11th, 2020, and he was 83 years of age, and sadly that was due to complications of COVID-19. So a sad end to the story, but we can look back here and see Trini in his heyday performing such a unique and much loved version of If I Had a Hammer. But again, we say goodbye to another hugely popular artist. And thank you again, guys, for requesting this video tonight. I hope that you did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys at the next one.